And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at a game called I Spy. Now this is not the children's game where they say green when you're in the middle of a forest and grass is all around you. No, this is a game in which you are actually a spy, and it actually has a really cool cover. It's hard for you to see here, but it has like all these notes written on it in different directions, and I really like the way the cover is. But this game takes pre-World War I, or the Great War, and you are a spy trying to get information for your country, and a little bit of area control and a little bit of card play. Let me show you. In this game, each player is going to play a spy, and at the beginning of the game, you're going to get one of these alignment tokens, and this is going to tell you who you're working for. So maybe I draw this one. I'm working for France. So let's draw again. Here I'm working for the Hungarian Empire. Hooray! So down here at the bottom, you can see that each of these empires, we have the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the German Empire, Kingdom of Italy, Republic of France, Russian Empire, and British Empire. Each of them has a certain number of influence, and each start with 4. The game is going to take place over 14 rounds, and you'll be moving this marker, and at the end of different rounds, so for example, at the end of the 3rd round, there's going to be a scoring phase, and whoever has the most influence is going to get 5 power, second most influence 4 power, etc. Now this is going to change as time goes by, because you can see here in scoring phase 3 that you'll get 7 points for having the most, all the way up to the end after turn 14, where the most will get 10 points. Now, over here, you're going to keep track of whoever has the most power, and at the end of the game, whichever player is aligned with the nation that has the most power is the winner. Now, players are going to have a spy, and on your turn, you're going to start in one of these 4 spaces in the middle of the table, and you must play 2 cards from your hand. Now, players will have a whole handful of action cards that match their spy, and so they're going to pick these cards that they're going to play. And you'll notice the cards match different nations. But maybe I want to play a courier line. This lets me move 2 spaces on the board. Whoop, whoop. All right. This says if I take a contact action this turn, I'll get 2 rewards instead of 1. Ooh, that's interesting. So I'm actually going to start here. And then I'll take my free action to move into Berlin. And that gives me a contact action. So players have to play 2 cards, and I'll come back to the cards in a second, but they must also in their turn take 1 contact action or 1 retrieval action. Now, the retrieval action is, as you play these cards, you don't get to play them again. They stay in front of you until a scoring round happens, when you'll get them back in your hand. A retrieval action lets you pick one of those cards up and put it back in your hand. A contact means you have to go to a capital, and you'll do one of the actions there, although I just played a card that let me do both of them. So here I get 2 tickets, which means I can move 2 more times during the course of this turn. And also I can recruit. This is if I have money, I can maybe take some of the people here and buy them, which will give me special abilities, or might even give me a special action card that I can add to my hand. These action cards are better than the other ones, and they're also for multiple countries. So back to these action cards, what do? Well, 1 lets you sabotage a country if you're in their capital, and make them lose influence. This one here makes any country lose 2 influence. You also get to move 1 space. This one here, you can lose 1, 2, or 3 tags. Some actions that players do will give you tags, and if you're tagged, that means you've given out a little bit of information about you as a spy. Better be careful. This one here lets you move on an airship route. If you look on the board, there's various airship routes. So if I'm here, I can go on an airship route all the way up here. From here, I can go all the way down to here. Airship routes allow you to move a lot faster. Here, I already showed you that one. This one here gives you a coin. This one here lets you pick a spy who has at least 1 tag, and you can steal coins from that spy. If they don't have any money, you get 1 money yourself. Here you can remove a tag from an adjacent spy, and you get to do 2 of these actions down here. Here you can pick another spy and then give them 2 tags. Or you can pick someone who has 5 tags, and you can see who they're working for, which is why you don't want ever have too many tags. This one just lets you move 4. This one here, you can choose an adjacent spy with a tag. That spy is coerced, but it also lets you take the in the wind action. That action is kind of important because one player starts the game with an initiative card. They always get to go first unless you take that card from them with the in the wind action. Then we have a private line, which lets you take 3, and you can take a tag to move 2 more spaces. And so those are the different actions that players have. And there's also different actions in the capitals. But many of the actions in the capitals revolve around these politicians. At the beginning of the game, you start knowing who one politician is. So for example, here we have Walter von Guericke, and he has some special abilities. He's going to make those 2 nations lose 3 influence each. Or maybe I'm looking here at Nikolai II, who's going to give 3 influence to Russia, and each spy with a control token here has a chance to do a different action. So as time goes by, this game is all going to come down to scoring. And you're going to want to know who these politicians are. Because if you know who they are, you can switch politicians where they are. Or you might even send them home in disgrace and draw a new politician, like Winston Churchill, to go into their place. There's different things you can do with these. But when you get to a scoring phase, there's a couple things that are going to happen. First, we're going to reveal all the politicians that happened before that. And they're going to add influence to the tracks. So this one, Nikolai II here, adds 3 influence to the Russian Empire. Joseph here adds 3 to the German Empire, 2 to the French Empire, Republic of France, and 1 to the Kingdom of Italy. So knowing who these politicians are will help. But also, all the cards that you have laid out on the table that you have used are also going to add that influence to those kingdoms. Once you've added all that influence to all the different kingdoms, you will then look at the different influence and score and give those players power points and then continue on. This will continue until the 14th round. And again, whoever is with the empire that's the strongest is the winner. Now I have to give I Spy several props. One, they've taken a theme, World War I, which is not in many games. I mean, yes, it seems to be a theme that does work well with diplomatic stuff, hence the game Diplomacy. But it's not a thing that many people get into, and it still might be hard because here, let me grab 4 politicians, and we got Walter Nikolai George V. Oh, I know who he is, and I actually don't know the names of these other 2 people. So, but I mean, that's a good educational thing. You can learn about that, but it's just not an area people know much about. But it works well for the theme of this game. It's a very intriguing game because you have these different cards, and I'll say, ooh, I want a coin. Because getting coins lets me buy those assets, which lets me do some really cool things. The problem is, every time I use this coin card, I'm helping out England. And at first I was like, I don't know if these are fair or not, but they really do come out to be fair. I mean, the Austria-Hungary has the fewest, but they also have movement that's going to happen all the time. Or you can choose a spy and coerce and make them do something. So you'll see these cards used more than the other ones. And so you kind of have to figure out, I want to do this action, but when I play this action, I'm also helping out that empire. Or you can use the retrieval and say, I did it, now I'm taking it back in my hand. You'll want to jump into these capitals and get in there and control the politicians, because the politicians are a bit of a random element to the game. They are going to give different influence to the different countries. So you want to get in there and kick out the politicians you don't like and get ones in you do. But that takes actions, and your opponents might be doing something else. So it's kind of this interesting balance of a game. The game comes with bigger cubes than the ones I showed you. These are 5 cubes, and the way these work is whenever you get 5 cubes of influence, you replace it with a 5. Well, duh. But at the end of every scoring phase, you pick the smallest scoring country, and you'll take all the 5 cubes out of it and then take that many out of the other ones. And it's just a kind of way to keep the board from getting overcrowded. It doesn't really change the numbers much at all. Fun. I was very impressed with this game. I really like the different cards. I like eventually getting maybe an asset. I mean, the assets are what I always want. I always want some cool thing that I can do that no one else can do. Give me a special ability or give me my own action card. Those extra action cards are actually a small variant, but whatever. Throw them in because they're cool. But at the same time, trying to keep people from knowing who you're at. I mean, after a while, it becomes obvious. Especially, let's say you're playing a 4-player game, it becomes obvious which 2 countries nobody cares about. They start falling behind because people aren't helping them out that much. But if you can figure that out, then you can play cards from those countries and not worry about it much at all. Solid theme. My only concern is it might be a bit long, and while the player's taking their turn, sometimes you're like, eh. And some people won't like the in-your-face of the cards. Like, I'm giving you a tag, and then I'm going to hit you like this. But I think as as you play it more, you'll discover more strategies and things to do, and it really is a unique and interesting game. I'm very glad to have played it. I like the theme, I like the box, the components. Although these little tokens, these control tokens from politicians, are incredibly small, but overall, and money's a lot tighter than you think it will be. And but the rules are clear. It's an interesting idea. Certainly one I think people should check out. This is kind of a breath of fresh air, something new and unusual. It takes things we've seen before and uses them in different ways, and I think that's a cool thing. Dice Tower Judgment, approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Fecha a porta!